It always starts the same. I'm standing back here waiting for people to join. So, welcome to the live, guys. My Thursday night live. There won't be another one until tomorrow, I guess. I'm typically doing these on Tuesdays and Thursday nights at 7, an hour, sometimes 2. It depends on how this thing goes. I'm here at my crafting table, if you want to call it that. I'm doing something here. It's art and craft, kind of arts and crafts, kind of a mix together. I'm seeing people are beginning to join. I appreciate you being here. I'm going to get started on this in just a moment. Like I said, I'm at the craft table, arts and crafts table here. I'm Artful Roger, for those of you who are joining. Henry, welcome. Henry, thanks for sending things. Sarah, I see you're on the live now, so that's awesome to see you. Guys, I'm looking at my phone as my camera straight ahead, and I'm looking at a monitor here. So as if I'm not looking at you, I'm looking at the monitor because I can't see my phone. It's too far away, but I can read this monitor, which is gigantic, so I can see what's going on. Hello, Paul. Welcome. I'm glad you said you'd make it. Garrett, welcome back. It's funny because we've been doing these now for several times. I've done a live, and I'm beginning to know you guys by names. Thanks for the hearts. And just a reminder, if you tap the screen with your finger, it just sends up hearts. And the more hearts that you send up, the more likes, it will actually send the live out. However TikTok works, however their algorithm works, it'll send it out to into TikTok land to get more people to join in. Because we've got about 57 people or so in the room right now. It holds 80. It actually holds more than that, but we typically are running around 80 people is what join for the live. So yeah. Yes, Paul. Melissa, hello. And thank you guys for this afternoon. A little bit ago, actually, I posted I'm beginning to share just some of my favorite, I call it antique poetry because the poetry is in the public domain. So the poems, I've shared 2 poems now by Malay that are both from 1917. One of them this evening is called, it's about spring. It's really kind of an allegory, I believe, is what it's about. But I wanted to show you something, though, because I brought it down here. This is usually upstairs. Because if you're new to me and you don't know who I am, hey, Ebby, welcome. This is the, you saw this earlier in the video. So there are the dancers. That ring light is such a pain. I should turn that thing off. I hate that. Hang on one second. Let me kill my ring light. I shouldn't say the K word. You know they don't like it on TikTok. Here we go. So you can see inside. So there they are. So they're the dancers. So this is assemblage, is what this is, and that's what I do. One of my wonderful followers this afternoon sent me an email of another maker here on TikTok, and I think that what she's doing may be categorized as craft. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if mine fits into that. I've built a lot of pieces of assemblage over the years and lighting and stuff like that, so sold a lot of pieces. I've never called it craft, so try to stay away from it, but this is a little bit crafty what we're doing. But this is a vintage clock cabinet. I did this in 2020. I'm looking at, it's got a plaque on the back here that I did, but it was did this in 2020. But I've got these little dancers. But what's interesting about these pieces I make is I have inspirations. This one was from a dream. I had a dream one night about dancers inside this clock cabinet. I'd had the clock cabinet for about 10 years, and it was just in my studio, up on a shelf. It was empty. There were no clock. There was no glass on it. It was just this empty wooden case, as you can see. That's all I had, and it was there for 10 years. And I had a dream one night of little dancers. It actually was a single dancer. It's what was in my head in my dream to go inside this. And when I went to start looking for dancers like that, thank you, Sarah. I think so too. Assemblage is an art form. But I found a couple of dancers, and typically these things are hundreds of dollars if you look for them. This one was a plastic, it looked like a carnival giveaway piece that someone put on eBay, and the price was like $10. I don't know what it was, so I watched it, and I won it, as you can see. And I was able to amend this clock cabinet. I'm going to turn it just a tad so you can see what I did to the bottom. You can see how I put brass in there and did that. So I was able to fit these guys in. There's a music box in there. These 2 switches control it separately. So you've got one of them, it's not actually, there it goes. So now you can see one of them is for the chandelier. You can see it's LED on a transformer. And this is for the ambient light in the room. So this lights it up completely. I did the mirrors. And the little dancers, I'm going to turn them on here. I think I've got them, get my little switch. I think that's it right there. So you can see them start dancing inside. There is a separate music box with this as well. And so these things are just magical. The clock face that you see in there is from another clock that I had, so it's not for this one. This clock, I didn't have anything for it. It was just a wooden shell is all it was. But simply magical when it came together. So I'm telling you that and sharing this with you right now. I'm turning that off because it's wound up. I'm sharing the story with you because we talked in one of the other lives about serendipity. And we all live in the magic flow of serendipity, a serendipitous flow. I think that if we take time to slow down, if we're quiet, if we just take a moment to pay attention to things around us, we'll start to see that there is so much magic and things actually find us. We put intentions out there. I literally, honestly, wholeheartedly believe it, that these things show up. This thing, the clock cabinet, spoke to me 10 years before I was able to finish it. But the front, you see, the bevel on the front of it showed up. The dancers showed up. The clock face showed up. Everything showed up. And then tonight, and I made this in 2020. I've had this all this time. So tonight, I'm sitting in my little sound studio over there, and I'm trying to work on this Malay poem. And I love that Sodden Earth and Spring poem. I've loved it a long time. So I read it several times, recorded it. I laid it down to several videos, and it just wasn't working. And I thought, I don't know why I'm not feeling it. So I found this old video of this that I recorded back in probably 2021. That video you see in my history was in 2021. It was just a video on my phone. I brought it up. I laid the recording down. And if you've watched the video, the music, the video is long enough, the poem fits into it, it all fits. It's really, when I watch it, even though I know that poem really well, when I watch it, I get really get a lump in my throat because it's like, wow, this is a wonderful way to share this. It's a wonderful way to archive it, to put it there with music and with this piece of art. All of this serendipitous, including the video itself. And then one of my commenters, if you look in the comments, one of my friends here on TikTok friend, actually put the allegory together and made the connection of what the poem was about. And the dancers seem to fit into it in their plastic state of eternal youth inside this on a clock of all things, which is time and the time that we all have. So it's really a beautiful, I have to go back to English class to remember the subtle differences between metaphor and allegory, but I would say it's a beautiful allegory, is what I would say. So that's this piece, and I made this for keeping. It's complicated to operate the way the music box. It's got a separate music box and a separate wind up for the dancers, so it's complicated. Would never be sold, probably, just kept. I've tried to make another. This took a year to produce, and I've tried to make another. I haven't made one yet. Let me set it down. So I blabbed on and on. I saw no comments. So you've got Statue of Liberty, so that's your collection. Yeah, there's a lot of wonderful little things out there. Awesome. Guys, thanks for sending those hearts up. I appreciate you tapping the screen because it kind of pushes it out there for it. We're at our classroom. Our classroom is nearly full. I like to say when we get to 80 people in the room, then we're good. So we're at 74, 81. Okay, standing room only just began. But people come into my classroom for about 15 seconds and run out because I watch the stats, so I know how this works. So welcome to my class. This is an old guy named Artful Roger. That's my name here on TikTok, and I am working in my craft studio. So guys, if you're new to me, I just showed you the one music box. We're working on this clock case. We're making this into a room inside. That's what we're doing. You see what we're doing, okay? But I wanted to show you too, I changed the background. I brought these out because these are the cloches that you guys have seen at Christmas. These are really, this is what you would call maybe a Christmas craft, perhaps. Let me bring one of those close up. I kind of prepared all this tonight. Hopefully I have all of my little pieces and parts. I do. Let me plug it back in. This is full show and tell. So I'm going to show you up close how this looks. So there's your little scene inside with the chandelier dangling. I've got so many cords here. And there's the outside, you know, with the lights around it. So all of this is out of my head, hand built. The only thing that I did not make is the lighting and the little figures. The little figures in there are from the 1960s, 50s and 60s. They're spun cotton head ornaments they were angels. I removed their wings, as horrible as that sounds, and their halos were taken off as well. So they were turned into mere mortals again. But there's the flickering fireplace. All of this built out of foam core. This is the one I built this year, and a 12-volt lighting system inside. So, yeah. So you get this whole outside view, the nice wintry view. And I don't know if Yvonne's on this tonight, but Yvonne, that little round medallion on the chimney, that was one of the pieces of jewelry you sent to me. So I think, yes, and I think it's Yvonne sent these to me. There is also, one of your earrings is over the sconce in the back. You can see it dangling. That's one of your earrings that you sent. So thank you. Because that's what I use here as old jewelry to create the sparkle on the gifts and such. So yeah, just handmade stuff. Yeah, the chandelier definitely is the magic part of this. So let me unplug this and set it down before I drop it on live, and you get to watch it break, but I can fix it. So I bring these out just to show you guys what I do. I'm not going to bring the other one out. I don't want to waste this entire time talking about what I've done before, but does anyone on here that hasn't seen it want to see the other one up close? Does anyone want to see the other one? Now's your time to say, yes, it's easy. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, little B. Okay, good. 2 people said it, 3 people, we're going to show it. Hang on one second. I'm going to set this to the side. I think the reason it's so nice to see this one is because this one has an amazing chandelier in it. That is, and it's really going to town in there, swinging around, but if it would be still, but you can kind of see it. That is a handmade, it is crystal, a crystal chandelier. Thank you, Mr. Nightshade. That was made by a couple of artists in Illinois. That chandelier was not inexpensive, but what a wonderful addition to this glorious piece with a little lamp in it and a Christmas tree. The angel was already playing her violin, so I just was able to just take her wings off and her halo, and she's still violin playing. The other one, I don't know if you noticed, but it had a piano player in it and a woman playing, a young woman playing a flute. So yeah, so this one too has the outside with the lamp and all that. So the pieces and stuff that you're looking at, some of it I make, a lot of it I find on clearance at craft stores and at places like Walmart and Target. The ornaments that are left at the end and they're 90% off, I buy those and then I take them apart and cut off the pieces. I have trays and trays of stuff here. I have bins of things that it's all parts and pieces so that I can put the stuff together. What I try not to do with building these is to use things that you might see hanging on a peg hook at Michael's or at maybe Hobby Lobby or someplace like that. I try to make it so it looks a little unusual. I also spend a lot of time in vintage stores, antique malls, looking in those glass cabinets because people will put old dollhouse furniture in there, or they'll put tiny animals or things like that. This one actually, let me see. Hang on one second. Speaking of animals, yes, yes, yes. Do you see the little kitten? See the little white kitten? That is a porcelain kitten. And that's probably, I don't know how old that is. It's super vintage. But that little kitten was like the perfect size to go into this cloche. I'm calling that out because if you're a dealer, an antique dealer, you maintain a booth, please, if you're a person that goes out to, if you're going out to an estate sale and you see those little things, buy those and put them in your glass cabinet. There are people like me who will pay $2 for something like that, and that little kitten was $2, and it's this little porcelain thing, and thank goodness they did it because it's perfect in here, and it will be in here as long as this cloche exists. So it's a great way to save those kinds of vintage things. So let me set this back over here. Put this back up here. So what I'm working with are 12-volt systems, and you see this little port here. This is connected to a transformer that you just plug in the wall like you would have for your laptop. And I put a port on my stuff. So there's a port for it to plug in, and the one next to it, the one under the window, is the switch. So that's a little micro switch, and you see the wires are hanging out right now because I'm beginning to do the wiring, but the wiring will be under another panel. So that black panel you see under there is the floor of the vignette, and then I'll have those wires covered underneath another piece of wood or another piece of foam core, so you can't see them. So there's the wooden floor inside. There's another fireplace I built and the windows. So that's kind of what we're working on. So that's the project that you guys have been watching. If you are just joining, this thing was rough. If you look back at my video history, you'll see what it looked like when I first started. It was covered in tar. I think it was in a smoker's house for years. And if you're familiar with people who smoke indoors, don't go outside to smoke. I don't recommend it. Tar from the cigarette smoke gets all over everything. It turns things yellow. This was black. I didn't know it was yellow till I washed it. And it's white sink that I washed it in turned brown. It's not stained. But that's how dirty this thing was. So if you see that the first video, you can see it in its form. It was cleaned. You guys were with me when we painted it. You guys were with me when you helped me decide on this gold that would match the bevel that's going to go here. This will be the last thing we install. This came from another clock because this was just a shell. And on the last live, you guys watched me as I took a paint marker and did the designs on the front. So that's where we are today. So this is the project. Tonight, what I wanted to do is add on a few walls on the inside. So I'm going to take the back off. We're going to have an illuminated sconce, hopefully, by the time we're done. And that's only going to take a few minutes. So before we jump into that, since some of you are new and perhaps you're on here because you want to learn some things about how to build something in miniature like this, I'm working in 2 mixed scales, okay? There's when you comes to doll houses, and we'll use that as a comparison, the most common scale is 1/12, 1:12. So 1/12, this is a 1/12 table, okay? The window on here, that's a 1/12 window. So that window goes with this furniture. So they actually go together. I mix scales because I'm working in fantasy, so I don't care if the scale's not right. Now this table I would never use in this particular close. You can see it's entirely too large. So 1/12 scale furniture I never use. I typically work in what they call half scale, which is 1:48. Okay, so 1:48 is what I work in, and it looks like this. This is more of a 1:48 scale. You can see the difference. It's about half the size of the table. This little chair right here was made by Tootsie Toy back in the 1960s probably. It's metal, and some people call it Tootsie Toy. It depends on where you live and how you pronounce things. But Tootsie Toy were metal kids' toys. This was probably for a little girl's dollhouse, and I say little girl because I know little boys can play with dollhouses too. But back when I was a little kid, if you wanted a doll for Christmas, you were in trouble if I would ask for that. Unless it was a G.I. Joe, then I could have that. So. And I did have a G.I. Joe, but my sister had Barbies. But anyhow, I digress. This is 1/48 scale metal. Now, I'm telling you about it. Here's a dining table. Here's a cute little desk with a working drawer. And this little corner cabinet. It has a little plastic front on it. I had to glue the door back on. This door originally opened and closed, but I had to super glue it on because it fell off. Yes, I'm showing you these little Tootsie Toy pieces because, again, these came out of an antique mall. So in another glass cabinet, I'm looking in there, and somebody was selling this set of furniture for like 16 bucks. And you can see it's in rough shape. It needs to be painted, but I probably won't paint it because I like that roughness of it and how it looks. And it was in the cloches I just showed you earlier. There's a couple of pieces in there. There's a corner cabinet I found. But finding these pieces, guys, makes your piece unique. Because these got thrown in the garbage. So there's not that many out there. If you go to Michael's and you buy furniture from Michael's, or you buy from a craft store and you put it into your piece, well, if somebody else is a crafter or they go to Michael's, they see it hanging on a peg hook, in my opinion, it kind of affects your art. Your art is, for me, and that's why I entitled this Upcycling. I think it says, I can't see it now, but I think it says Miniatures and Upcycling. My goal in creating these things is to create something that is getting junk off the street, like an old clock cabinet that had nothing. It was covered in cigarette smoke and tar. It was sitting on a shelf for $30 at some antique mall, and I found it. I put the legs on it. We've done all this stuff to it. We added these weren't on there, the things on the side, the pulls. All of this stuff just kind of disparate junk, if you will, that's been put back together into something that'll be pretty, and maybe somebody will enjoy it for years to come, you know, and maybe it'll be passed down. Same with this furniture. No one's seen this before, probably. If you've seen it, you remember, oh, I had that when I was a little kid. Look for this stuff so you make your stuff unique, including like the kitten that we talked about, the little porcelain kitten, which is super cute. You can buy resin kittens at a craft store. Why would you want a resin kitten if you can get one that isn't? So go for that. Thanks, guys, for the hearts going up. I appreciate that. That's your lesson in scale. I want to show you these two. This little bistro chair. This little set right here was at Michael's. These are very basic. Just a super cute little basic bistro set. You can paint these to a different color to make them your own. I do use these. I found these bistro chairs, the set, a long time ago. So over the years, I've put these little chairs into my cloches and into my work because they're basic. You know, they're not too unique. I just don't think they're going to be that recognizable. But just, you understand what I'm saying, I think. All right. How's everybody? I am talking fast. Good. I'm glad, Little B. Thanks for saying that. Yes, John Jr. Yes, I'm mixing scales. I was just saying that 112. Like my windows are 112. Some of the stuff I do is 112, but the furniture is typically 148. Is what I'm working in half scale. You're good, Little B. You're hanging in there. We've got 78 people. Not very many people ran off. Henry, thank you for that. Mary Therese, welcome back. Thank you. And Mary, it's either you or Lori that typically act as the moderators for me because my moderator's not on here tonight. So if, you know, you won't be able to delete any nasty comments if they come up, but we haven't had any trolls in the live, but you are good at encouraging people to send up the hearts when I'm blabbing on and not looking at the screen. So I appreciate you guys being there. Hey, Jeff, I appreciate that. Glad you let me know. I see a lot of people back, so awesome. I'm glad you're here. Okay, let's move on. As I told you, while you're not with me, I still work on these things. I've installed the port and the switch, but I'm going to install the sidewalls. This is one of the sidewalls that's going in. If you remember, we did this in the last live where we installed this wall sconce onto this piece of cardstock. Onto this piece of foam core. You guys are with me. There's the wire coming out of it. We're going to install this tonight, and we're going to get this to light up tonight. So we'll see all this happen. Okay, so I've done a lot of the work that requires me to be at the other bench and go back and forth and all that stuff. It's really boring. I'm trying to be present, so I get all that kind of stuff done. So let's move on. First thing I'm going to do is take off the back. I do not glue on the back until the very end. I've pulled on this poor window so many times. So the back just comes right off. Let me ask you guys a question while I've got this off. Hey, Starbound. What do you think about this mirror over the fireplace? What do you guys think? Yes or no? Mirror over the fireplace, because I'm going to glue it on. So Abby says yes. Nat to Jax, okay. Love it, Amy. We got one no, another no. Yes, yes, yes. Yes, okay. Okay, yes. Sarah likes it. Good. Oh, look, it's my phone. There I am. Okay. So another no, okay. So it looks like more yeses than nos. I'm going to age the frame. Yeah, I'll paint that down a little bit. I absolutely will. Yeah. Yeah, a painting would be nice too. You're right about that. So what I could do is just take the glass out of this and look at that. There's my phone, see? I could take the glass out and paint something into this. So, all right. While I had it out, I thought I would ask. So it looks like mostly yeses on it. Okay. The thing about using anything reflective inside a space like this, because it's going to be enclosed with the glass on the front, anything reflective just creates more light inside and more to look at and makes it a lot more interesting. Okay. Alrighty. Oh my God, I need to take a breath. So there's the floor. The floor is installed. It has been hot glued. You see that foam core, it's hot glued in. I use a high temp hot glue gun on anything that's unseen because I don't care if it's ugly. You see how ugly that gluing is? That's where I can have fun and not care. But inside here, I'm super careful with my glue. So my wood floor is installed. So we're gonna put the walls in. The fireplace is right here where these LEDs are. These LEDs are the flickering fire LEDs that make the fireplace light up. So that's that. So this first wall is this one. So we're going to install the sconce wall on this, on this end right here. It's backwards when I'm looking at the monitor. So right here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. What I've already done too, you see this wire that's hanging down, it has to hide in this bottom compartment because this is where all the wires will connect. So I've already drilled a hole right here. You see the hole I've drilled so that my wire can come down through there into this wiring compartment. What's nice about having a compartment like this is that if you ever have issues with your wiring, you can pop the bottom off and fix the wiring problem without doing anything bad to the inside or tearing up anything inside your diorama or your shadow box or your clock case or your cloche or whatever you want to call it. All right, I'm going to pull that wire through. That's going to take a second. I've already prepared the wires too. I'm going to create a little point here a little bit. You guys can't see this. You can only see me concentrating. Ever so interesting. All right, up it goes. And there's the wire. Look at that. See, that's what preparation gets you. I didn't have a big screw up live. All right, so the wall panel, you see how it fits in there? And it's got a little space right here. So this space is pretty awesome because we will be able to work with the chandelier is coming soon to go up here. So I'm going to put a roof in and there's going to be some wiring pulled across that as well. All right, let me get my hot glue gun. And when I'm working with a glue gun, and I've made a mess of my wires. Hang on one second. I think it's pulling all that stuff across because I've got so many things plugged in. Guys, hang on one second. I forgot to put up my charger on my phone. My battery will go dead. Okay. Low temp glue gun. Low temp. Make sure you do that. Don't use hot glue guns. They will melt and burn your stuff and cause problems. So do yourself a massive favor and don't do that to yourself. I'm going to step away from the table just a second. You guys hang in there. I'm going to be right back. I got to grab a bit of wire to put down this channel. I can't think of everything. You know, 1 hour before this live, you wouldn't believe what I'm around here doing trying to get ready for this, but I'll be right back. Hang on. People who are joining in are like, what in the world is this live? It's just looking at a brick wall and some junk. So this is the wire I use. This is just it's called hookup wire. It's what it's called. It's not that kind of hooking up. 28 gauge wire is what this is. This craft wire. We're dealing with 12 volts. I'm not seeing your comments, Paul. I'm not looking at the comments. Yeah, because I can't work and look at the comments. Yeah. Yeah, thank you, Mary, for saying that. Yes. Hey, Groovy, welcome back. I probably missed your hey, Dad. I must have missed it. So I'm going to cut a piece of this because I'm adding it in. And get yourself a tool like this, Southwire. This is probably at Home Depot is where I got it, but it's for removing your insulation from your wires and cutting it. So you cut here, and then your very tiny wires, you use this hole here at the top, the tiny one, and that you can strip the wiring insulation off. So a great tool. I know, Paul, you're right. Yeah, it's tough when I'm doing these crafts. When I'm working at the craft table, I'm not looking at comments all the time. I'm looking more here because I'm trying to stay engaged. But when I'm at the desk in the studio area, it's all about comments and interaction with you guys. So a lot more. So tonight, not so much. So what I'm doing here, if you can see that, I'm pulling that wire through into the top. You see it coming out? That's going to be my chandelier connection. So I'm going to pull that up and over the top because my chandelier is not here yet, but I'm going to want to be able to hook the chandelier up when it gets here. So I'm just going to leave some extra wire at the top. I'm going to tie a little knot in this so it doesn't go all the way up. Not a tight knot, just a slip knot, just a little bit to keep it from pulling all the way through. Thank you, little B. Exactly. So, Amy, if your husband is an electrician, he might enjoy doing this kind of stuff. You know, I'm not an electrician. I'm a certified lampsmith, so I can do everything on this side of the junction box, or at least this side of the outlet, or I don't work in electrical panels and I don't work in the wall. But I build lighting and stuff like that, so I have a really good understanding of, you know, I can wire a tiny dollhouse. But if he's into that, if he's into wiring, he probably might really enjoy doing something like this, because I love electrical stuff, and doing this, and this is kind of like the same thing. It actually is the same thing. It's just 12 volts. All right, I'm putting the wall in. Bear with me. If you're asking me questions, sorry. All right, I'm going to show you what it looks like. You see I've got the wire coming out the top. You won't be able to see this once we're done with it. So this is my chandelier connection that'll come later. So I'll just make it long because I can cut off what I don't need. And I'm about to glue this panel in place. And that way I'm not hiding, you know, if I need to do electrical connections, I'm not blocking myself by gluing this in. So let me glue this in real quick. Low temp glue gun. I'm just putting some glue in there, just globbing it in because it doesn't really matter. And I'm putting the wall piece in. Houston, we've got wall. Okay, there's one. All right. Somebody said something about a lap. Yeah, I think you guys are probably communicating with each other in this live too. So when I glance at comments, you might not be directing those to me. So my apologies if I don't answer you, because I sometimes think you guys have your own world going on. This is a corner piece I already put together. I've shown this to you in a previous live. 2 pieces of black foam core that I've glued this scrapbook paper onto, which was an iridescent paper, but I used the backside because I like this white because it looks like plaster to me. It looks like old plaster work. So that's why I do it. I was asking if we could do a lamp show. You mean do for wiring and things like that, or rewiring a lamp? If so, I already did a video about it. Somebody liked it today. It's old. It's from it's a year ago, I think. So this corner piece, the corner piece is for this front corner. See how the front corner, and I did it because when you're looking in the window like this, you can see this part right here. And you see that. God, Siri, shush up. Okay, so what do you think? Liking it? Little B. Yeah, you call retired Smart Blank a retired Smart Alec? Okay, so you guys are loving it. Awesome. So I'm going to glue the corner piece in. I'm just making sure everybody's still there. I haven't lost the world. It's, you know, I have to tell you, I have done this. So I've been doing this I've been doing stuff like this for 20 years. And I have never done it where I've had to deal with an audience, a live audience that's actually watching me. And I have to be aware of you. So thank you, Melissa. So it's really challenging. I'm loving the challenge, but I don't want you guys to be bored. So I worry, are they bored? But I guess if you're bored, you can just, you can go watch TV. So it's all good. I'm gluing it in. I'm ceasing my whining. all right? Just because we're doing a live and we want to see where we're headed and people drop in and drop out, I'm going to put the back on. And you can see how it's coming together. There's the fireplace, the corner, the little wall sconce will be over there in the corner. There'll be some artwork, furniture, you know, something will be in that corner. That'll be nice and tight and clean back there when we're all done. But yeah, it's all coming together. You kind of get the feel of what it's going to look like in there. You know, it's funny because my lighting is acting weird tonight. It's like a little spotlight shining in there. And I've turned off this ugly work light. Let me turn that back on. Does that help? Yeah, that's much better, don't you think? So now you can really see. Yeah, that's much better. I did the fireplace to the side because I wanted the window, because I thought that the window is what really was magical, because you actually look straight through it. In the Christmas tree, the Charlie Brown Christmas tree, do not judge what I'm about to show you. Okay, so I want you guys to calm down. I want you to center yourself before I show you the tree. Okay, so get centered, because you can't be hating on this tree. This tree is only just begun. I made the tree myself. It has barely started, but what I wanted was I don't want a bottle brush tree in here. I want it to look like a natural tree, sort of like a tree somebody cut down in the woods, you know? A tree that maybe Grandma would have had. So this tree, I told you guys, get centered. Get centered. And it's in a 5,000 Kelvin LED right now, and it looks super light green. It's not. It's actually more natural green. It just looks ugly in this light. But that's the tree that's going to be in here. I want you to calm down. I want everyone to calm down and breathe deeply, okay? Calm down. I'm putting it in place. There it goes. Okay, I got it. So that's where it's going to be. It's going to have lights on it. It's going to have tons of gifts under it. There's going to be a lot of gifts in there and furniture all over the place. So that's where we're headed. And that's why the fireplace is off to the side. You love my little tree. All right. Yes, on Ozempic. You would have to bring up Ozempic in my live. Yes, this tree is on Ozempic because the other trees are not. The other trees are on Old Country Buffet or something. They're definitely, yeah, but that's what I wanted. And that's another thing that I said to you earlier in the live is that if you want your stuff to look unique, try to hand make everything, because this tree might be unfortunate looking, but you can't buy it. This was made with a very long nail into a wooden base, and then I handmade every branch. Then I trimmed them very carefully and hot glued on the ornaments. It's very hard. This is technical stuff. You know, other people do heart transplants. This is what I do. Yes. This is called self-aggrandizing. I was accused of that. I'm being self-important here. I'm so important. So anyhow, I digress once again. So let's get back to this. I'm going to take the back off again. We've done our wall on one side. Let's do the other side. See that little area over here? Isn't that awful? So we're going to go ahead and cover that up with our other walls. I've already prepared that in the interest of time. I've already made this. Again, if you're just joining me, I'm working with foam core. Foam is the core, paper, and paper. And then I glue other stuff on the outside with, thank you, Melissa, with spray mount and stuff like this. I've discovered this week, though, that spray mount is temperature sensitive. So this stuff does not work when it's 12 degrees outside. Not that I'm spraying outside, but even in here, down here in this space, it was too cold and it was being very temperamental. So I bought this. I'm going to try tacky spray. Try not to get it on my face or on my clothes because I don't, I think it might ruin my look if I don't want to be this. But we'll see how it works. Yes, the dad humor is out in full force. Yes, making it yourself makes it special. And tacky spray, I believe, will work. Absolutely agree with you 100%. So, yes. All right, so let's glue this thing in. I'm going to put it on the side. I'm going to use my glue gun again. I think you guys can see that. I'm looking at my monitor, and yes, you can. So let me fit it first. Always fit before you put the glue on. But I've already pre-cut it. All this work's been done when you weren't here to watch. I don't always like to be watched. All right, so let me do this. Glue and glue. Sliding it in. Okay, give it a press and hold for a minute, let it cool down. You would have rocked my arts and crafts. Spell check, strikes again. Yeah, Amy, I bet. Amy, do you have kids? Is your husband a dad? Because if your husband's a dad, then your dad jokes are part of your life. Oh, I know you're watching Mad Housewife. Okay, it's glued in. So again, we got a wall, and the next thing is to put the corner in, and lucky you. Oh, you've got a 17-year-old son. So yeah, so dad humor is part of your life then. I'm fitting it first. This one is pretty tight, but yeah. All right, so I'm gonna put some glue on it. Low temp, glue gun. So I'll show you something else that's happening. I don't know if you can see the string. Yeah, do you see the string of glue shimmering in the light? This is when you work with a glue gun too fast, and you have all those strings of glue, which I can't stand. Yeah, like spider web. So slow down, unless you're doing a live and you're trying to keep up with comments and be entertaining and charming all at the same time. So there's that. So you see how it's coming together? Yes, yes indeed. Millie, who asked me that? Alan, of course Alan asked me about that. Alan, you're 700 steps ahead, my friend. Yes, even this is going to get finished. All of this will get finished around the edges. Yeah, there'll be, you can't build a whole house in one step. All right. What do you think? It's starting to look more like a room, right? And all those junky little edges, you see how it's not even in the back corner back there behind the fireplace? You can see black. All of that can be fixed because you don't even have to actually put down baseboards sometimes because there's gifts and all kinds of stuff you can push in there and hide it and really just fill it up with stuff. As you saw in these back here, they're filled with all kinds of stuff, so you can cover up your mistakes. Enchanting, yes. You changed your name. Does that tonight that you had to do that, or did TikTok make you take that word out of your name? I guess I wasn't the only one stumbling over that, because if I say it too many times, I'm afraid I'll get age restricted. I will. I can do that too, Henry. Yeah. Sometimes I make rugs out of paper, like gift wrap and stuff like that. If I like it, I'll try to make a rug out of that. I found that fabric is difficult to work with because of scale. No matter how small the print is on the fabric, it still seems to be out of scale when you try to use it. And I try to not use, as much as I can, not always, buying things that are on Amazon and stuff like that, although I do that. This stuff right here, my sconces, this came off of Amazon, so I do that from time to time. But the rugs, I try to make it if I can, or I'll go to a specialty store, a dollhouse store, where somebody specializes in miniatures, and buy it there. But stuff that's unique costs a lot of money. And some of this stuff has a couple of those cloches back there. There's a little bit of money in those, just a tad. But what else do I do? Come on. This is what I do for fun. So smart, Alec, I missed your answer. You're changing it back. No. Leave it. Retired Smart Alec. I like it. And you spelled it with a K. And I'm wondering, so I just stumble over your name. That's the only reason I say it. Yes, Little B is talking to you, Smart. That's who she's talking to. Or Little B. Why did I call Little B a she? I think I know that. I apologize if I misgendered you. Okay, I got it. Yeah, I agree with you on that. I can see that. But I do like your new name. I do. You could just be RSA. You could just be that, and we all know who you are. You're a Barb, Little B. Thank you. So, Little Barb. So, you probably told me this like several lives ago, and I forget. But Little B, I got it. Is there a big B? If there's a little B, there must be maybe your mom. Your name is Dennis. Okay, Dennis. And Dennis is retired and was a smart Alec. Awesome. Okay, guys, so I guess I can get back on track here. I'm just taking a minute to chat with you because we haven't done it yet. So here we are at this point. Now, I'm not ready because the chandelier is still yet to come. And until I get it, I can't really move forward. Now, the chandelier, let's talk a little bit about how that's going to be installed. The nicer ones, you can buy cheap chandeliers. And when I say cheap, when it comes to dollhouse chandeliers, you can buy a chandelier for probably 20 bucks or something like that, and they have LEDs in them. I personally don't care for those. I prefer to use something with incandescent lights, what you see back here. They cost a little more money. The chandelier that's illuminated, I think, was about $200. The crystal chandelier was $300. I'm just giving you, I'm being full disclosure and fully transparent. The chandelier is coming to be in this one was $170. So you can kind of get an idea that we're talking about tiny chandeliers that cost as much as a light fixture on Wayfair for your own house. So it is an investment. These things, this is what I do. I've learned over the years, if I put a $19 chandelier in my cloche piece, it looks like a $19 chandelier. If I put a $300 chandelier in it, it makes the cloche just come to life. So it's just one of those things. I don't travel a lot. I'm making excuses for myself here, but it's what I do. And, you know, we all do something for fun. Could I make a chandelier? Perhaps. You know, probably make it out of jewelry, but it's such a delicate process. The artists that are in Illinois make beautiful, beautiful work. It's a man and his wife, and their work is so gorgeous, and it's really a wonderful way to support them as artists too, and to buy their stuff and put it into my art. So I think there's part of that as well. And you know, it was hard hovering over the buy now button for $300 for a little chandelier, but when I got it, it is exquisite. It's absolutely gorgeous. It's breathtaking actually to look in that little cloche and see it. So I love it. So yeah. I forget where I don't have their stuff with me down here. I don't have their cards and stuff. And I forget, I'll have to get it to even tell you what it is. Anyway, okay. So I took the back off again. And I'm going to talk to you about the chandelier. The chandelier is going to be attached up here at the top. But you see this is the wood of the clock right here. So I'm going to be gluing in a piece of foam core here at the top that's going to have the wiring going through it. So this will be glued on the top. I think what I'm probably going to do is cover this with some sort of paper that'll give it like a ceiling look. Although, I'm not certain you'll really even see the ceiling, so I probably am going to leave it black. I think I am going to leave it black because I want it to blend in. You see I've already marked it. This is where my junction box would be. This would be like in your house. This is over your dining room table. And this right here is the channel that the cord will go into. And as you remember, probably in the former live, I use a drill bit like this, and I slowly, by hand, remove the foam inside here. So by working my way inside, I just do this and keep turning it through until I can make a channel inside the foam core for my wire to go through. But I'm not going to do that on the live tonight because I don't need to glue this in until I have the chandelier, but that's what will happen. What I do want to do with you guys right now, though, is to go ahead and connect the electrical for the wall sconce, which is right there. So let's make that light up, okay? Yeah, there's, you know, it would be cool to do that, and I think the reason I would do that is if I could see the ceiling. If I'm looking in that little portal on the front, you know, the round part, and I could see the ceiling, it would make sense to spend time doing that. But I found over the years, people who look at any of my stuff that has a portal, they're always looking down and to the sides. Rarely do they look up. No one mentions it. So in here, if I just make it black, it's going to disappear. And I would end up spending a lot of time on something that would really probably not get any visibility. So that's why I don't do it. But it actually would be cool if you could see it. So I've already prepared the wires. You see that I've already cut off the insulation. You can see the silver here on the tips of it. I think you guys can see that. I'm leaving this wire long. What I'll do with it is gather it and I'll put a tie on it and put it up inside here. I leave them long because if I ever need to work on it, if something breaks, I need to pull it out. This really makes it easy for me to put the cabinet over here and then pull the wires out where I can work on them. So I don't want to have my wires, tiny short little wires in there that I can't work on because I've found that can be a real pain in the rear end. You should make an Artful Roger doll. Yes. If I just knew a voodoo artist who could make a doll that looks like me, and then I could sit it in there. Yeah, that, honestly, guys, I don't think that would sell. Honestly, don't think anybody would want that at all. Uh-oh, what did Sarah say? Uh-oh, I missed it. Sarah, I'll talk to you tomorrow. Okay, so let's hook this up. I've already made my connections to my wiring. I've already connected my switch. So let me get my bearings here. Make sure I've got everything connected. So this is my switch. This is my fireplace. You know what? You guys want to see the fireplace too, I bet. So we're going to see the fireplace. Silence falls across the room. You have to be very, very quiet when you work with wires, because you never know, you might get shocked. 12 volts is not going to do anything. We're good. As long as I don't puncture my skin and stick it directly into my blood vein, I'm good. Because even a milliamp will stop your heart if it punctures your skin. So it is a good idea to be careful. But we're not doing anything here with needles or anything pointed, so we're good. I'm using these oversized wire caps just to do a temporary hold. And then I'm going to use my, somewhere around here, I've got my transformer so I can plug it in. Yeah. So I'm doing my wiring. This looks pretty good. Tiny wire cap. Just to hold it in place for a second. All right, please, 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 please. I'm glad you guys are talking to each other. This is good. So you're entertained. You're entertained. This one already has wire in it. That is trash. I just threw it over there in the basement. I'll clean it up later. Okay, this one's good. Alrighty. I need my transformer. Here it is. I'm going to plug it in. Tap Roger to 20K. Let's do it. Yes, let's do it. I don't know. Where are we now? I can't even see it on my screen. 17,900. Yes. We're so close. Look, let me tap my own phone. Let me like myself. So, hey, we've got electric. So before I show you, I'm going to put the back on it because the fireplace is going to be doing its business. Fireplace, okay. I'm going to kill this ugly light. I'm going to turn this on. I'm going to take a peek. I'm laughing to myself. There it is. Okay. Because I was like, it was working. All right, here we go. It better still be working. There's the fireplace and the wall sconce. So we've got fire and we've got a sconce. What we're going to have in here when we're done is a fire. And I'm going to hide those LEDs. Don't worry. We're going to have a wall sconce, a fire on this side. We're going to have an illuminated Christmas tree on this side. And we're going to have a chandelier hanging in the middle. So that's where we're headed. And then we've got our really pretty wood floor. Yeah, this thing, once the glass is on it, pretty much, I think you could put anything, literally anything under glass and it becomes magical. But even when you put a glass window on it like this, you can already see it becomes like a world in there. You just want to climb inside. That's how I am about it. Even as a kid, I loved miniature for that reason. But look at that. That is going to be so awesome when there's a Christmas tree inside and it's in a darkened room. It's just going to, it's magic. I'm telling you, it's just freaking magic. Love it. Serendipity. This piece came off another clock. Like I said, things somehow, when I'm in an antique mall, I don't know if anybody on here goes antiquing, but antique malls are a world of possibilities. When I'm in there, the minute I get in the door, I'm like, okay, if it's here, find me. And so I just walk through. I don't always see the things because somebody else who's with me, and there's someone on this call, on this live tonight that I'll see on Saturday with her, she and her husband, and we will more than likely be going to one of my favorite places south of Atlanta, and we'll be walking through there, and she may find something. She's got a really good eye for my aesthetics, so she will find something and bring it over. Or my spouse, he will find something and bring it over to me. So that's how it goes. Yeah. Catherine, I agree with you. Antique malls are full of possibility. You never know what you're going to find. You certainly don't. Yes, so I recommend you do it. How do I do the fire? Yes, Kenny, welcome to my live. I'll show you right now, because guess what? We are so not down the process too far, because eventually this back, you know what, this back is not going to be glued on. And if you can see, the fire is, I build the little fireplace. This is made out of foam core, and I'm using a brick paper. This is what this is. So I just cut my brick paper. The fireplace building takes a long time to do, but it gets done. You have to spend some time on it. It's hard getting this arch to be just perfect, blah, blah, blah. But this is tissue paper from a Halloween gift. Somebody gave me a gift in a gift bag, and it had orange crepe in it. And I looked at it and said, it looks like fire. And I thought, well, I'm going to keep that. So I balled it up and it's in my box over there. So I can chop on it all I want and make a fire. And what I do is I put LEDs behind it. And those are little pieces of wood, but actually from the yard. So then I went out and found a twig and cut the twig down into logs. And then I took some blackening. It's a weathering type stuff, that blackens around the fireplace and blackens a brick. I blacken the logs and so forth. But the way it lights up is with 7mm diodes. Those are LEDs, flickering LEDs. There are 3 orange ones. Sometimes I mix orange and yellow together. If the fireplace is bigger, like here, in those fireplaces are a little bit larger. There's 4 diodes, and typically I'll use 2 orange and 2 yellow to kind of give a look. But that's how I do it. And there is a space. I leave a space, and it's not pretty, but you can see what I did. I cut out a spot because the LEDs just fit right into there. So they're behind the crepe paper, and the crepe paper lights up. Yes. Your inner child is singing. Good. I'm glad to hear it. So, Susie, you had an antique store. That's awesome. I tried to have an antique booth about 12, 15 years ago. I couldn't do it. It just was too hard. It's just you can't. I think the people who own the antique mall make the money. The people in the booths are doing it for fun. They might make some, but it's really hard to keep it restocked. And, you've got to make money because you got to pay your rent. So it's a tough little gig. It was hard. Reshow, okay, Zoot, I can do that. You must have joined late. That's good. Yeah, you should. Antique stores, wherever I go, whenever I travel. I'm going to be in Palm Springs at the end of February. Probably not going to find any antique malls in Palm Springs, more than likely. But if they're around a vintage store, I actually will go into them. Sometimes I find vintage rings and things like that I like. I like things with a history. It's always kind of been that way for me. Yes, when you're talking about Artful Nana, you're talking about if you're running a booth and people steal it. Is that what you mean? That they shoplift in an antique mall, which is shocking to me that people do that. Oh, you want to see the percolator. So Amy, let me make a deal with you. I know you join my lives on a regular basis. The percolator lamp is actually in my live studio. And so the next time I'm sitting at the desk, let me show it to you there, because I'll have to go get it and it's plugged in. So we'll absolutely would love to show it to you, but we'll do it in there. Jackie, you and I could be friends. Chipper, my God, welcome to the live. Where have you been? Yes, there you go. See, that's right. You have to do it for fun. That's what I say. I really try to support those antique people. Not antique people, but antique dealers. I try to support them. I buy their stuff. And some people tell me, why would you pay that for that? I'm thinking somebody is running this booth. They went somewhere, they found it, they cleaned it, they merchandised it, they put it in this booth, they're paying rent. I'm buying this from them. I try to do that. I try to find things I like at the antique booths. I love doing that. I just love walking around in those places for sure. Oh, you were in the shower. Thanks for sharing. I'm glad you didn't take your phone with you. So anywho, where were we? We are with someone who asked to see some stuff. We are kind of at the point with this one. How far are we into this live? We're an hour in. So this is kind of at the stopping point sort of for this right now. So I will go back and show you some stuff. unless someone has a question about this so far, but we've made some good progress tonight. I really am at a place now where we can't work on this until I get the chandelier, because once we get the chandelier put in there, then I can start doing gifts and the Christmas tree. The Christmas tree will be, don't judge if you just joined. We've already covered this. Take a deep breath, because you got to center yourself about this tree. I made this. It's going to be pretty. It's not done. But I'm going to spend some time on this, hopefully this weekend, building this thing out. So the next time you see it, it'll be finished. At least the lights will be on it and such. So, yes. Good. All right. So let's give some people who are joined. We're at 92 people. So I know there's at least a few people in here that were not with us in the beginning. So let's talk a little bit about some of the other stuff. Okay. We're going to move on. Okay. Oh, we made it. Thank you guys for 20,000. We got there. Perfect. Thank you, Little B. And Mary, thank you for being my de facto moderator, I guess. The only shadow box I ever did in school was we were studying something in science, and do you remember the Betty and Barney, not Rubble, not from the Flintstones, but Betty and Barney, the couple that they lived in New England and they saw a UFO back in the 60s. If anybody remembers that, it was this big story. The couple was abducted by aliens, this flying saucer. My shadow box was a flying saucer in their car in the woods and all that. And when you looked, it was a shoebox with a little window in it, and you looked in. It had a skylight in it, so the light was dramatic and all that. It was awesome. Yeah, so that's what I did. That was my only shadow box. So I'm going to set this thing down real quick. I'm going to unplug it first before I pull everything off this table. Hang on one second. So you just joined. I wanted to show you something that I did not show you in the last live, so hang on, I'll be right back. So I did show you this in the last live, this clock cabinet. This is another one I did. You see how I blew out the face? And let me see, I may have glued this shut. I did not. Okay, good. So there you can see what I did. The idea with this is for it to be an explosion. The clock exploded. But I'm going to show you what happened inside. Because now tonight, I have a transformer here so I can plug it in. This one has a port on the back too. Line, there's the port. You see that? So we're going to plug in. All of these are 12 volt. Either 500 milliamp or 1 amp. Make a note of it. 12 volt, 500 milliamp or 1 amp. That's it. Do not use anything. Do not use 2 amps, 4 amps, whatever. You will blow out everything inside your creation. So I'm going to plug it in. Boom. All right. Hopefully, with all these freaking lights, we can see this. But I think it's called, there's a show on Netflix. It was a series. And it was apocalyptic, into the world, a man and it ends up being a man and a young woman walking. It's called The Two of Us or The Some of Us or The Last of Us or something like that. I don't know if you've seen it, but I was not Stranger Things. I think it's The Last of Us. It's the I can't remember the actor's name, but it's a young girl that he's with, ends up, and they are fighting the undead. It's not zombies, but it's like the undead. Anyway, I was watching that when I started working on this. And so what happened is, the theme of this is that. So let me see if you can even see this inside. It's probably not dark enough. You can see how I use theatrical gels in there, but you see how it's... Let me turn off another light. Hang on one second. All these work lights, I think it's just too much. You really probably can't see it. Well, a little bit. It's like the end of the world, but look at that. There's the clock. Look, there's the clock. Miniature clock with a blown out face that matches this clock. Look at that. Look at that. Watch again. Here we go. There it sits. And it's sitting in there, and among all of the debris, there's a light over the doorway, blown out. I'm just trying to get a view of everything in there. But it's because of watching The Last of Us, when I was watching them dig through, and yes, and me too. And I wanted to create something like that. So this is kind of like a Russian doll kind of a thing. So you look in here and you look in the clock. It just, when I talk about serendipity in this art that I do, I'm not kidding. when I'm doing this. I don't know what wavelength I get onto, but I can feel it. It's like getting in a groove. It's like tuning into something, and things find me. That little clock you're looking at in there, what are the chances? Look at the clock. That is a plastic dollhouse clock from the 1950s. It was hollow, guys, hollow. And the little cap came off. I was able to cut the face of it and put LEDs inside of it, and it looks just like this clock. What are the chances? It's insane. It is just insane. It's serendipity. That's what I'm telling you. I find these things, they show up, and I'm like, I have learned to accept it at this point. I just go with it. I'm like, oh, there it is. It just showed up. But I love this for that reason. 25,000, thank you for that. We are blowing it. We're heading to 26. This is awesome. And Debbie, I would say, to answer that, I don't know what it is that's in me. I don't know if it's talent. This is just, I came with this stuff. And I've told you guys about my relationship with my dad. My dad was a jock. My dad was a baseball player. My grandpa was. They had high expectations. My cousin was a baseball player, football player, all of that ball. Those men, forgive me for saying this, they played with balls and they loved it. This one didn't get any of that. I'm a creative. I came with this. And I remember my dad, I went hunting, deer hunting with my dad as a kid and into my early 20s. Fishing with my dad, did a lot of that stuff. Still have all my guns from hunting and stuff like that. And I said the G word, I'll probably get age restricted here. But I'm telling you that because one of the rites of passage, I remember being about 12 or 13, and my dad was so excited because we were going to meet up with the hunt club. And we're riding along in the pickup truck, and my dad says, all right, boy, today, if you kill that buck today, because we're from the South, and that's how my dad spoke. I got rid of my accent. We already know that. But when you kill that buck today, boy, here's what's going to happen. They're going to take those off that buck, and they're going to put them around your neck like a necklace, and they smear your face with the blood. And I looked at my dad, and I said, no, they're not. No, they're not doing that. I was adamant, and my dad got so mad. He was furious, but guess what? They never did that. I just couldn't even imagine. In my head, it was like, not because I didn't want the blood on me. It's like, why would I want to, this is what was going on in my head. Why would I want to desecrate this animal's body for something like that? I don't want to wear those around me, around my neck, and I don't want to have that on my face. I'm not interested, and even though I did, we did deer hunt, and, part of that is you take deer, and that did happen, but never was I initiated into it. This is how I came into my family, with this ability, this kind of person that I am. I don't really fit in with them, but whatever this is we're talking about, this desire to create, I don't know if it's talent. It's just, I have to do it. I'm compelled. I call it a compulsion. I've been making things for years and years, and I've long said it's a compulsion. So I'm compelled to make, and for some reason, because I'm compelled, things and people find me. They find me. This, my friends, is a prime example. What were the chances of that tiny plastic clock finding me? The little kitten that showed up for the other cloche, what are the chances? I found the kitten. The kitten just crawled up and said meow, and I put it into my cloche. So I don't know. I'm glad I'm on TikTok because I get to talk about it and share it with you guys, and just resonating. You guys, you've got a husband like that too, Amy? That's awesome. Yeah. And Mad Housewife, I appreciate that. I'm not looking to be praised. And somebody asked me the other night, is this really stroking your ego, being on TikTok and 31,000 likes on your live? Is it going to your head? It's not going to my head. It's not. It's joyful. That's how I feel. It's joyful to know you guys. It's joyful to share with you. And it is changing me. It is changing me so much. It is really changing me. It is causing my heart is just melting away. It's just really been a transformative, amazing experience. So thank you for that. And I'm not on an ego trip. I absolutely am not. So thank you, and I'm glad you appreciate the passion. So there's that. I showed you that. So I'm going to set this down. I don't know if the Z person is still with me that asked for this, but I'm going to show you the dancers again because they're right here and they're plugged in. Another serendipitous story of these little dancers being inside here. And if you want to see these guys in action, I did a video tonight with some music and a poem to this, but you can see them in there doing their thing. There is a music box on this, but I don't want to turn it on tonight because it's a pain. There you go. But this thing is magical. Absolutely magical. I also did one at Christmas. If you looked at my Christmas videos, there's one that I put on a loop myself and watched 100 times because, again, in making videos on TikTok and putting music to things and whatever video I shoot, it's serendipitous. What happens? And there was one of this clock cabinet. It was upstairs, and I started with the clock cabinet, and then I come out to the tree with this music that I found. I watched it on a loop at least 20 or 30 times myself, because I was just mesmerized by it. This thing was made by me, but it blows me away when I look at it myself, because it's like, I don't know. I remember the year that it took to make this and how long and how much stuff was piled up on my workbench in the creation of this and how many times I tried to get it to work. I mean, you have no idea how long this took. Insane hours in this, but look at it. It's just amazing. I love it. It's so magical. So there's that. And if you're still with me, this is the one that I think we worked on this together, guys. This is the one that we did in lives. This is 2023. This little guy here. And now we can look at it again. Do you see the piano player back there? See the little piano? I've got the piano player. The Santa Claus is a broken wooden ornament. It's a Santa with no legs. And I had it was laid in my box, and I set him in one of those bistro chairs and put him in front of this. And the piano is a wooden ornament too. It's just a wooden Christmas ornament. And when I put him, I just leaned him up there and I went, oh my God, he looks like he's playing the piano. So he stays there, and so I had the flute-playing angel, so I took off her wings, and she's playing the flute. So we've got a flute player and a piano player back there rocking and rolling on Christmas Eve, while these little girls here are wrapping presents. And you see what they're doing. That one's wrapping under their little pink lamp. I gave them some curtains. There's one of those corner cabinets in there, that little metal Tootsie toy. Lots of lighting, magical. Outside, this thing, little bird on the tree. But yeah. So really cool stuff. This one. So you have the same chandelier in your dining room that your electrician husband probably installed. Yeah, no doubt. That is a 12-light incandescent chandelier, and it gets warm inside here. Not hot, but it gets warm inside this cloche for sure. Yeah, it's shaking around because I'm moving it. But the flooring in there, that tile floor, that's scrapbook paper. I think I got it at Michael's. So, I love that checkerboard floor. It's very upscale looking to me. So, yeah. So these things, I started building these in 2009, this under glass stuff. I started doing it at my sister's house. She had some little ornaments she wanted me to make. And so we started with, back in 2009, we started with stuff like this, little glass cloches. I made tiny ones, but it's gotten more and more elaborate over the years. And the chandelier adding started, I think it started last year in 22 is when that began. So yeah. So I don't auction king. I don't sell these. The reason I don't is because they're not shippable. They'd have to be sold locally. That's part of it. The other part of it is, I don't know that they are, sellable myself. I mean, you guys are loving them, but you think about how much time goes into this, and the chandelier alone was $200. So we're already $200 in with just one piece of lighting. So you can see what the price would be. And, how high would anyone go to pay for something like this? Am I going to get recouped time out of this and all the parts and pieces that went into it? So there's a lot to think about. But to answer your question very openly and very transparently. The clock case miniatures, could be sold. Yeah, they could be. The chandeliers are made out of metal glass. The one in the other cloche, little B, this one is a crystal chandelier in here. That one is actually literal crystals. Let me bring that one back up too so we can look at it. I'm going to take the glass off of this so we can see it better. So yeah, there's an angel playing her, there's a little bag of jewels. This is all cut up jewelry on top of the gifts and things like that. The Christmas tree has jewelry chopped up on it. The chandelier is made, it's a crystal chandelier made by artists in Illinois, as I said. Yeah. So yeah, that's it. And then we've got the outside. The little snowman was a spun cotton head that I had. It's like a cake, or like you would stick in the top of a cupcake or something like that. And the ornament was an ornament that was missing a top, the white parts. That's just a white glass ornament with some, I just stuck all that together with a glue gun. Again, you make it yourself, and you can't find the stuff at Michael's or at a craft store, and you've got this amazing piece. So yeah, really pretty stuff. All kinds of cut up jewelry and stuff like that. Yes, someone is tending to the fire. Yes. Oh, the lamp fell over. Hang on one second. See, they're not supposed to be manhandled. Yes, let me get it back up there. The lamp actually needs to be glued back in place. But yeah, she is, you see her tending the fire? Yeah, she's back there. So that, she was an angel that was a band leader. She was leading the band, playing the flute. The one was playing the flute. It was a little group of them. And the band leader, I took her little band leading stick and turned it into a fire poker. So yeah, she got a new job to do. Sorry, your music days are over. Now you're going to tend to the fire forever. So yeah, let me set this back down. And I'll put the glass back on that in just a second. Yeah. So you find things at garage sales, Debbie? Yeah, and Debbie, that's fine if you want to do that. That's totally fine. I had another viewer. I don't think she's here tonight. She sent me some Sarah Coventry jewelry, old vintage stuff, and jewelry that I could use to decorate. And they're in some of these cloches. So if you have miniatures, things that you want to get rid of, you can send me an email. My email address is in my profile, and I'll give you the mailing address, which is not my house, but you'll have a place to mail it. And I will incorporate it into a cloche, and we'll see it right here on the live when we're building it. My plan, as we go forward with these lives, is at least once or twice a week, I'm going to try to be at this craft table. I'm going to continue building things like this as we go forward until garden season begins, which is, for me, it's going to start probably sometime in March. I'll be back out in the dirt and digging around and stuff like that. So until then, I'm going to work on these kinds of things because it seems to be an audience for that. But if you want to send something here to put into a cloche, we'll certainly work on it. I would ask you, if you are going to do that, if you want to send stuff, I'm not asking to send me pictures of what you're sending, but I would tell you that let's use things that are old, vintage. You can't find it very easily. Not stuff that comes from a craft store, because those kinds of things, as I said earlier, they're a little too recognizable to go into these cloches, and you want things that kind of like people say, oh, what is that? Oh, that's interesting. You don't want them to say, I saw that at Michael's a year ago, so if you're trying to sell to me, you picked the wrong girl. We don't want that to happen. So let's avoid that. Yes, garden season's coming. Yeah, you have a spun cotton snowman caroler. Yeah, so good. That's another thing. See, that's stuff that can be used for sure. Yes, Matt, I do that. Matt, you may be new to Artful Roger. That's me. I have hand built. I could ask somebody on here that you guys would jump right in and tell how many it is. It's 3,500 pieces of lighting. I did that for a number of years. I did unique pieces that are in coffee houses, movies, TV shows, Whole Foods. I'm trying to think of some big names. I did a grocery store chain for their bakeries, speakeasies, countless bars. I did some venue in Chicago. There's some game place in Chicago has my sconces all down one of the walls. Can't remember the name of it, but this was years ago. It's been like 10 years ago. So I did all that. Then for 2 or 3 years, I did a lamp repair business. So I ran that on the side of my corporate job. So I had an intake point here in the Atlanta Metro where people brought their chandeliers in, their stuff. I've rewired chandeliers for people. I've cleaned them, put them back together, done countless lamp repairs. So I did all that. That business I dissolved at the end of 2023. So it was called Ben Cliff Designs was the name of that business. This is the logo. This is the business that ran. That's me this was me in 2013 or something like that. This company, if you're curious about Ben Cliff Designs, you can Google it and you'll see stuff will come up. Especially do Google Images, you'll see all these pictures come up and stuff and blogs and things like that. There was a lot going on during that time. So yeah, I've had a lot of experience with lighting, all on this side of the junction box, not behind the wall, as in Amy's husband, who is a licensed electrician. I am a certified lampsmith. Yes, Rocky. Is Rocky your husband, Amy? Yes, you bet, Matt. I'm glad I could answer that question for you. And yeah, and for me, I was the child. I was the little kid that, they told you to put covers on your outlets because your kids will stick things in there. I was the kid doing that. I was sticking things into the outlet, and then putting things into lamp sockets, and learned how electricity feels. And it's not pleasant. I found that out. I was my parents' electrical panels nightmare, because I think the clicking sound of a breaker tripping, it was kind of the sound of my childhood. It's not like that now. I do not trip breakers now. And if I trip a breaker, there's some serious problems, because I'm really good about checking all work before it ever gets plugged into an outlet. I don't let outlets do my checking. Breakers do my checking anymore. It's not hard. It's not hard. If you have the right tools, you can do it for sure. I'm answering retired smart aleck. I never stuck a fork in there. No, I didn't. But I think I stuck a bobby pin in. Yeah, a lot of kids stick forks in outlets. I'm an advocate. Rocky got hold of an old light bulb and put it to his head. Okay. He burned himself. Yeah, I talked about this in a former... Jackie, that's awesome. Me too. I'm the same way about it. And you have a stressful job, so you need something to relax you. I'm of the age that when I was a kid, there was a toy called an Easy Bake Oven that may still be around, but you put a 100-watt incandescent light bulb in it and you could bake a cake. My sister had that. I had the corn popper. It too was plastic. It had a 100-watt light bulb in it, and you dropped the popcorn kernels down near the top of that 100-watt light bulb, and you popped your own popcorn in your room. Holy moly. I'm kind of glad that the days of incandescent light bulbs are gone, because they're so hot. And that said, funny story. One of the things I do in my corporate job, I work for a home decor company, and one of the things I do for them, I'm a unicorn at this place. My job has a bizarre title because I'm a unicorn. I fit into this very little niche thing they need done. But one thing they added on this last year was escalation. So if you call in or you send an email in about a product, if the product specialist or the customer service representative can't answer it, it gets escalated to me. So I have to do the research, like what's the chemical compounds in this paint? Or, I got a sticker. My kids put stickers on my dresser and now the finish is marred. How can I clean it? That kind of stuff I do research on. It got escalated. They bought a chandelier from us, and they were terrified because they put the light bulbs in, and the light bulbs got so hot that when she went to change them, they burned her hand. And she said, there must be something wrong. Is it something wrong with the light bulb or something wrong with the light fixture? And she was using incandescent light bulbs. And I laughed, but I was so happy because we are getting so far away from incandescence that people don't even remember that light bulbs burned the skin off your hands. That's how hot they got. And of course, being a lamp repair person, I've seen so much damage from high wattage light bulbs, burning sockets, burning lampshades, burning lamps down, to where people have brought stuff to my repair shop to be repaired that was burned, that stunk, by burned plastic and fire that I had to repair. So I'm an advocate of these LEDs. And we did a live about LEDs, about full spectrum LEDs. If you're a person with seasonal affective disorder, buy full spectrum LEDs. If you want to match the color of an incandescent light bulb, that yellowy color, buy 2700 Kelvin. Just remember that. If you want to grow plants under LED, if you want your crystal chandelier to look beautiful, you want to bring out the colors of your textiles in your room, your carpet, use full spectrum LEDs that have the full spectrum, all the colors of the rainbow in the white, so that it reflects all that color back. A lot of the cheaper LEDs that you buy, they're inexpensive. They might be 2700 Kelvin, but they're not full spectrum, so you're not getting that color throw that you would get into your textiles that you would normally get. What I've got on me right now are just some cheapo LEDs. I've got two 2700 Kelvins right here, and I've got 5000 Kelvin turned off right now that are hanging here close by, but that's kind of what's going on. And halogens, horrible, horribly hot. Yes, I don't miss those at all. I'm speaking his language, exactly. And I'm sure he's an advocate of LEDs. It's dramatic how much less power they use as well. So I highly recommend it. I'm glad we're moving in that direction. But anyhow, I do go on, don't I? It's your time. I shut my mouth. I agree with you on that, Margaret. There is. And what I'm telling you is there's times when you almost have to have an incandescent, especially on bare bulb chandeliers where you don't have any shades. But if you're looking to create what I'm talking about, this what you calling the incandescent color, that look, full spectrum 2700 Kelvin. Full spectrum bulbs are expensive, so they're not cheap, but they're worth it. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Full spectrum. And trust me, I had a friend who was dubious, put them in his display cases with full of crystal, full of all kinds of cut to clear crystal, and he had halogens in there and they were so hot. I said, get a full spectrum LED. He put it in there. Spectacular, beautiful. It's color throwing everywhere. The crystal breaks like acts as a prism. The colors are all there. It's absolutely gorgeous. So it does absolutely work. Yeah, they're so worth it. Yes, because your power bill, you get to drop your power bill by 90%. It uses so much less electricity for an LED, but if you use full spectrum, you get the color too. But they're not necessarily pretty bulbs. So if you want pretty, like in all my exposed bulb chandeliers, there's probably, I think I either have 25 or 40 watt incandescents in there because like over the dinner table, I don't turn the chandelier up full blast when I sit down for a meal. That chandelier is barely illuminated and the table has candles galore on it. So it's all about candlelight and having a nice warm table. Thank you, Susan. I'm preaching it. Welcome to the sermon. And I even got my stick out here so I can really drive it home. Oh, you got your Ballard rug. Awesome. Okay, good. I'm so happy. That's awesome. Good for you. And don't forget, I don't typically cross-pollinate on here, but take a look at Ballard Designs YouTube channel. If you haven't looked at Ballard Designs, their page here on TikTok, you can check that out as well because my second video I've done for them has dropped on wood tones. So the second one dropped. I just saw that yesterday or the day before. I think some of you guys are seeing because I'm seeing you're tagging me in it when you see it. But take a look at that because we're going to be dropping a few more too, and Ballard needs the views and the likes on some of their stuff. So if you aren't if you've not subscribed to their YouTube channel, take a look at it, and if you think you like it, please subscribe. There's a lot of great information there. I know Melissa. At this point, yes, I did take down my cross-referencing videos off of here because I just felt like I was over the top. So I will mention it, and that's the only time I'm mentioning it. It's been mentioned tonight. Chipper, what did she ask? Chipper is an Artful Roger expert. Oh, Alan Daly joined. Oh, yeah. Chipper, thanks for answering that question. Yeah, I used to ship things all over the place, and I had a very specific way of shipping. I was a FedEx. I only shipped FedEx, and I had nothing. You accidentally left. This is the only way I shipped. But stuff like this, I can't even imagine trying to ship this stuff now. I just can't. I would sell it locally, probably. But again, coming up with a fair price for it is very difficult considering the amount of time that goes into it. So what's going to happen here is this house is going to be full of them. And at the estate sale, you guys will have to come when I'm in an urn. I'll be in a cloche. I'll be the dust. I'll be the snow. And you can come buy them then at the estate sale. You're in Georgia? Amy, why did I think that you were in, I don't know why I thought that you were, I was thinking you're Long Island. Why do I have you? I've got another friend on here that's in Long Island. And I don't know why I put you there too. I have your husband's an electrician on Long Island, but you're in Georgia. Good for you. You're in Columbus, yeah. Columbus is really pretty and it's on the rise. A lot of good stuff's happening down there. Columbus has big plans. I think Columbus is going to become a thing, or if it isn't already. No offense. Lori, there she is. Lori, you may have been here the whole time and I haven't noticed because I've been blabbing and not looking at comments. I was in Columbus this last November. Went down to St. George Island, Apalachicola, so you have to go through Columbus on 185, I think. Isn't it 185? Anyhow, I'd been down there in a long time and I was like really surprised how pretty it is down there. Oh, you just came in. Yeah, because Mary Therese is my de facto person who's on here telling people to tap. And look, we're at 44,000. But it's either you or her doing it for me. So I appreciate that. And Lori, welcome back. And we've finished our part of the cloche that we were doing tonight too. Because I'm just kind of answering questions and talking to you guys. All you women showing up. Gay and May's waiting on this fashion show. Tonight's fashion show is jeans and a t-shirt. That's all I got. Yeah. And if there ever was a fashion show, this is the runway right here. This is where it would have to happen. This is the only place I have any room where you can actually see, you can see what I'm wearing. You can see my my Hey Dudes. These are the ultimate old man shoes. And I say that tongue in cheek. I know you guys are going to get in my business if I keep saying that old man stuff, but they are so comfortable. I love wearing them around the house. Yo, I was working on the clock cabinet piece tonight. So yeah, we have gotten it to the point of lighting. Let me show you. This is what we've been working on, and we are at the point, we have lighting, we have a fireplace, we have all kinds of stuff going on in here. And Chipper just joined, so this on here. I think we got lights. Hang on. That micro switch I might have to replace. It's acting up. So that's what we did is we got the sconce illuminated. We got the fire. We got a fire in the fireplace. So we're getting there. Oh, the scroll work, Mary. Welcome. Welcome to the live. I think you weren't here. This process, this thing that we're working on, we've been doing this live through a few episodes. This is an episodic approach to building one of these things, but this is going to be a little Christmas scene inside. But in the last one, I did this with a marker, with a paint marker. A Pilot paint marker is what I did it with, a very sharp point. So, Alan, thank you. Thank you, Alan, for confirming what I just said. And again, 72 is not old, right? Not old. Anyway, that's what we're working on, guys. So the scroll work, we did the scroll work the last live. I think I did it, what is today? I don't know. I popped on. I don't know. When was this? Wednesday night? It must have been last night. Yeah, I did it last night. Yeah, the scroll work is cool. It was already in there. Guys, go back and look at my video history, and you'll see this thing before it ever got touched, when it was fresh from the antique mall, when it was a shell, didn't have feet on it, didn't have any gold on it. It was just this nasty shell. And the scroll work was cut into it or pressed into the wood. So all I did was take the marker and try to stay in the lines. It was a little hard in some of the areas, but I think it turned out great. This was Henry. I think you're still here. This was Henry suggested it in the live. I caught his comment as it scrolled past, and that night as I lay in bed to go to sleep, I was thinking about it, and I said, I need to do something. I need to figure out how I'm going to put gold in there. And I thought there has to be some kind of marker with a sharp point. So I went to I went to the craft store, and I looked at point sizes. And so, yeah, this is a 0.5 millimeter, tiny fine point gold paint, metallic paint. So really cool. Yeah. So you're lucky because we're at the end of this. I'm done with this I'm done with the crafting and gluing right now. But I have time to look at your comments, so I apologize that I haven't. Guys, thanks for the tapping of the stars because you pushed this thing up to 47. I wonder if we can get to 50. Can we get to 50? What art store do I like? I think the name of this thing, I think I named it Miniatures and Upcycling. Upcycling, if you are familiar with that, I think that word came around about, 12, 15 years ago, something like that. I like finding vintage things. So a lot of the stuff like this vintage clock cabinet, the stuff that I use, a lot of it's old and vintage stuff. But when it comes to the supplies and stuff, I am a regular. You're going to not like me for this. I'm a regular at Michael's. Thank you. Gay and May answered the question because I already said that they should know me by name by now. But thank you, Ms. Steele. I appreciate you doing that. This is probably you. Oh my God, you guys are going to put it there. It's going to happen. We're going right to 50. We did it. We did it. Awesome. Thank you. So you're just sitting there with your phone, just doing that. Yeah, so Michael's, and occasionally I will venture into Hobby Lobby. Sometimes. Hobby Lobby is too big. It's just an enormous cavernous store, and if I need something, I have to walk all the way to the back. Somebody sent us some celebrations. Thank you. #1 glitter badge. Gifter badge. Got it. Sorry. My lenses aren't working. You guys are expert tappers. You really are. You know, and I want to say this. We've got still a little bit of time, but I appreciate that you guys join these lives. It's so fun to see you guys pop up. I still have anxiety right before I push the go live button because I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to talk about, you know, and how's it going to go. So there's always that little bit of stress, but it always seems to turn out just fine. Oh, you're not kidding about that funeral music. You are not kidding. When I'm in there, I'm like, what is up with this music? Yes. Yeah, flea markets can be fun. The problem I have with flea markets is sometimes they can be really junky, and that bothers me. You need a pair of Brooks. So, Alan, you are speaking my language too. Hoka, Brooks, and my Hey Dudes. My Hey Dudes are my house shoes. But I bought a pair of Hey Dude boots, you know, because these things, you can just slip these shoes on. Look at these things. These are like, I mean, these are amazing. The other thing already fell off on one side. So, anyway, these are my house shoes. Next time I'll wear a house dress. Just kidding. I don't have one. Yeah, Rocky likes his Hey Dudes. Maybe we can, Miss Steele. We're at 53.4. I'm amazed. I'm absolutely amazed. Absolutely amazed. Yeah, I should be doing some stuff for some of these shoe companies. I stumbled upon Brooks, and I wore my Brooks out on the shoes out on the treadmill. So they've been retired. I'm wearing my Hokas now. I bought the Hokas for walking around, but now they're on the treadmill, and those things are like walking on a mattress. They're just amazing. Amy, you're killing me. Maybe we can get Rocky to wire something so that it'll just make me go straight to 100,000. What's the best antique store in North Carolina? I don't know. There's one north of Charlotte in Concord, I think. My sister was telling me about it. It's like an old mill or something like that. I know more of the antique malls here around the Atlanta metro, and I know some in South Carolina. My sister lives in Greenville now, and so I've really gotten to know Greenville pretty well. And there's some great little spots there as well. There's some that have more of the little trinkety things that I'm buying for stuff like this, and then there's ones that have more high-end antiques that I would be actually put in my house, like furniture and stuff like that. Yeah, it could be. It's like here in Georgia, Monroe, right here around Atlanta. Monroe, Georgia used to be an antique capital. There's still antique stores there, but not like there used to be. There used to be so many of them, and it was a really fun place to go on the weekend. You guys are killing it. You're heading straight to 60. You kicked yourself out. How do you kick yourself out? We'll talk about that later. I know, I can't believe it. Look, I stop crafting and I start blabbing, and then more people stay in my live. What's up with that? I guess they're trying to figure out, what is this? What's this guy doing? Or is it because I got my guns up here? Is that what it is? My guns. I got my guns showing. Look, it's the gun show. I guess if you got a gun show, then people show up for that. And I keep saying the G word, I'm going to get age restricted. I know. Thank you, Sarah. You're right about that. I keep saying that. I forget where I am. I just forget myself. Click on his circle to the left. You guys, you must be talking to somebody in here. Yeah, thank you, Retired Smarter. Like, now I know how you got your name. Pythons. Yeah, these are garter snakes. That's what these are. Oh, you get it now. Okay. Yeah, I said that there's 91 people. There's over 100 in here as soon as I put my arms up here. So I'm like, oh, could that be it? And then 10 people left. So I'm like, well, I guess that wasn't it. 60,000. I can't believe it. It's just amazing. Thanks for the confetti. You know, Lori, you're right. That when I look at my stats at the end of these things, you guys' pictures show up as certain gifters. I don't know if anybody else does lives, but you see there's the rankings. Lori's always in #1. Henry was #2. Sorry, Henry, you're #2 in my lives. Sorry about that. Yeah, let's go to 70. So hopefully before the next time that we're on here, here's the live schedule. The next scheduled live is Tuesday night, but this weekend, if I have time to pop on here, I will, especially if the chandelier shows up. I'm going to do an impromptu live to do it. It's just, if I'm down here and I have a moment, then I will pop in and do an impromptu live. I can always say that I can't tell you guys when it's going to happen for sure, but know that it's actually going to happen on Tuesdays and Thursday nights. Alan, are you asking about the rankings of people after? Yeah, when I get this, when the live ends, there's a status of, I get a stat. There's a stat sheet that shows me what's going on with the live and what happened and how, when I had the most viewers and had the most likes and stuff like that. And it will tell me, it ranks the people who are either gifters or whatever you guys do. I don't know. There's a lot of little things that people who watch lives can do. I don't watch lives that much, but you can do fun things. But you get ranked, and Lori's always in number 1. Lori has the number 1 position, Henry's number 2, and the number 3 position varies. So yeah, so Lori evidently is an expert at TikTok. So yeah, or at least understands how this live thing works. I was encouraged to do lives like a year ago, I think, and I was told you need to do lives. I didn't know what they were. I was afraid of it, and I finally did my first live. I think some of you may have been there for it. It was super awkward because I didn't know what was going on, but I've gotten better at it. Now I've set up spaces like this. I changed the background. I've made a studio space, so I'm doing them more often. They're actually fun. It's fun to interact with you guys. You've got to be the number 1 tapper. I'll tell you what, Chipper, I'll find out where you ranked. Yeah. So I'm glad you're watching my lives. You know, I've seen lives pop up in my For You page that come across, and I see what people do. It's funny that some of the stuff is, like I said, people peel eggs, or they're stirring a pot of milk, on the stove, and then they have a bunch of people watching, and it's like people like it. They just like to watch it. Oh, you do moderate for several creators. So, okay, yes, you do. Okay, Lori, thanks for telling me that. And I appreciate what you've done here, too. You've been very helpful in taking care of this, especially when I'm doing the craft lives, when I can't look at the comments. And the only thing, thing you can't do, if you're not set as a moderator, is you can't kill off bad comments. I guess if a troll, whatever happens, you can't do anything about it. Because I think if you're a moderator, you can tap those people out, I believe. So mad housewife is tapping like crazy. Yeah. See, Melissa, that's how I feel about this too. And I think what you just said kind of sums up how I feel about TikTok. Tonight, I did a video right before I got on this live, and it's an antique poem of one of my favorite poets, Edna St. Vincent Millay. And I put 2 of her poems on my page, some music and some video footage. They're in the public domain, just so you know, written in 1917, both the poems. But when I do it, I'm a little bit cringy when I go to set these things up, but I always think they serendipitously come together. And then when they're out there, I thought this makes me feel good when I watch it, and perhaps it'll make someone else feel good. And it's really, why not be nice? Let's just add something that's nice and kind instead, because there's plenty of meanness. It's easy to be mean. It's easy for me to be mean. It's easy for anybody on this live probably to be mean. Mean comes easy. Getting angry comes easy. But it's a little more difficult, takes a little more thought, takes a little more breathing, takes a little more time to be kind. And so that's how I'm kind of creating my page. I want it to be that way. I want it to be kind. And if you haven't watched that video, take a minute to look at it. What's interesting is that I've read that poem so many times in my life. And to me, it was always about spring. But when I did it tonight, and I put it to that dancer, the music box dancer people, and I put that music to it, I forget whose music that is. I watched it a couple of times myself, and I suddenly realized I think it's an allegory. It's allegory metaphor. It's symbolic of life, of living, of getting older, and someone who's died or dying or whatever. It's just about the seasons. The seasons of life is what it's about. I had never seen it. And what's so funny is that as soon as I started seeing it, somebody commented. So if you look at the comments, you'll see Okie Country Bumpkin. I don't know if he's still on here, but he commented. He immediately saw it. He saw it at first. He saw it right away and commented on it. So watch that and see if you can pick up on that. It's because it's about this. It's about spring, and it's about birds, and it's about the passage of time. It's about someone looking back at spring from the winter. Remembering what it was like when the birds were singing and all that, and how beautiful it was. And it's winter. You bet, Chipper. And what's happening, guys? I want you to know in this last little bit here on this live. I want you to know what's happening with you as a group. For me, whatever we're experiencing here electronically, this way. It feels like it's super warm, for lack of a better word. It's very love-oriented. It is changing me. I think it's affecting you guys. And it's changing how I live in the world. It's changing how I interact with people in the 3D world, 3 dimensions. We have a 2D relationship. A lot of us, some people in this live are in my 3D world. You're my 3-dimensional friends because you're in my world. I see you. I interact with you. But it's changing how I approach people at work. It's changing how I approach people in life. It's changing how I see people out and about, how I present in the world, and how I see things and how I do things. So I don't know what I'm experiencing with you guys, but I can tell you that it's super positive. It's wonderful. It feels really good, and I am very appreciative of it. So whatever we're having together, I think you're feeling it and I'm feeling it. And, this isn't about my ego and me saying, look at me, I'm so great. It's just because I happen to be the face on this thing and be willing to get up here and cringe. I'm willing to go, ooh. So that's what's happening. And the videos are starting to shift. If you see, my videos are starting to change. Me even sharing my poetry. There's one on there that I did. I dug up, thank you, I dug up a poem that I wrote for my grandma's memorial service back in 1997 when I was 33. I wrote this for her, and it was been on her program in my journal for this many years, almost 30 years. It's been sitting in there. And or 20-something years. So get ahead of ourselves. But I'd never shared that stuff publicly. And I put it to some footage. I put some music on it and shared it. Cringe when I push, publish or whatever it is that you do. And people have reacted to it. Have really liked it. And I've gotten comments from people that in my real 3D world that have mentioned it as well. So it's a wonderful place to share things because it's super positive in my opinion. Just like the Malay poetry that I'm sharing, I think it's positive. There's a poem on there about the little ghost, if you haven't seen it. That came to me, literally found me, and my sister during the grief of my mom's passing in the early aughts. She died of cancer in 2001, and during that time of grief, when it's super hard, and the grief is an abyss, as I call it, because you can be outside the abyss and be okay, but if you have certain thoughts about you're never going to see your mama again or something like that, or she's not coming back or whatever, into the abyss we would go. My sister and I could go down fall into the pit, and you're just in the pit of grief and having dreams about her and waking up crying and all that kind of stuff, because it's hard in the very beginning when you lose someone. But during all of that, that poem showed up out of nowhere. Malay's poem, The Little Ghost, and I've had that for years, and I can go to it. I always think of my mom. It's such a special thing. Just last week I put it on TikTok, so it's on there. I read it into my fancy microphone, and I put it to a song I liked, and it's a part of my garden. You guys were asking to see my garden in the winter. The shade garden looks like it's a mush pit right now, and it's on there. So we have that too. So it's wonderful to share these things because I feel like I'm putting my mom out there into the world again to be alive, so to speak, with us, and I say us here in this group. So it's it's a great thing, and take a look at those things and see what you think. Yeah, my birthday's coming up in a couple of months. I'm an Aries. I know. Yeah, and my mom's been gone 20, 23, 24 years. Yeah. And I went through all that too. It was a long process, a very long process. You're a Pisces. Yeah, I live with a Pisces. Me and Pisces get along. Pisces and an Aries get along just fine. Yep. Oh, Melissa, you just lost your dad. It just happened. Yeah, so you're still in it. Yeah. Yeah, I'm older than you by 20 days, my friend. Let's not push it. 20 days, that's it. You're a Leo. Okay, Sagittarius. Yeah, Melissa, I'm sorry about that. I know how those early days are tough. That's like I said, and I think that if anyone asks me for advice, and you're certainly not asking me for advice, but just a suggestion is to during this time is to really be aware. It's just to be aware, because I think during this time that you're in, and even me, it's not as much now, but back in those days, like the poem, right after my dad died, for instance, my dad died in 2016. I'm a subscriber to Harper's Magazine. I've read Harper's for years and years and years and years. I love Harper's, and Harper's is always laying somewhere in the house. And my dad had passed away, and I think it had only been gone like a week, and the Harper's fell open. And when I looked at and when I saw it laying there, how it fell open, I said, I need to read that. And when I read it, it was a letter from a father to a son. And it had in there, forgive me, son, for the things I said that maybe we didn't understand each other. It was all, I should find it and read it to you guys on live. It was like exactly what my dad and I's relationship was and what it was. I did not go to his funeral, by the way, for reasons that he and I both well knew. That just was a known thing. But to have that was like, it just was one of those things. And I think those things happen. And I would tell you in this early phase, be aware. Be aware. I think that you get things that come to you. Yeah. And I've shared you some of the stuff that's happened with all of my relatives that have passed on. Whatever it is with me being on some kind of, wavelength. I don't know what it is. But these things, I see them, they happen. And I think I agree with you, it's a gift. It absolutely was a gift. Yeah, I called my sister. I read it to her. I said, it's like he's speaking to me. It's like my dad's voice. It's like him saying it to me. Yeah, so you're not going to go to your father's. Yeah, there's reasons for it. Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for sharing these comments, guys. I appreciate it. Yeah, I know they're tender feelings too. Wow, Jackie. Yeah. Yeah. The lighting is perfect tonight. Do you mean the way way I'm lit up here? You mean? Yeah, I've got two 2700 kelvins right here and here. Two lights on me. I turned off the bright ones, if that's what you mean. Chipper, congratulations for that. See what I mean? We don't have an explanation for things like that. It's inexplicable why those things happen because, if we're science-minded, we believe that we didn't exist before birth, and we believe the same, we don't exist after death. That's a belief, is a science belief. I just saw somebody just saying that on TikTok. It was into science, a scientist, a doctor of science. But who knows? When things like this happen, is it in our head? Or, I don't know why they happen, but they do, and I think they're out there. Yeah, we're back to Kelvins. I can't leave Kelvin alone. Me and Kelvin. I'm glowing. I'm glowing because, yeah, I've got the lighting on me. You drink? Yes, exactly. I think those things happen too. Yeah. Chipper, sorry about that. Alan. Alan, I'm going to ask you to elaborate on that question. I am happy. I am. This is what I feel like's happened in my life lately. It feels like I've been in a room for a long time. And I told you guys in a previous live that, I went through a very traumatic divorce about 20 years ago. I have 4 adult children now. I say adult children, of course they're adults, but 4 children. But that experience was so incredibly difficult and so painful, and my mom died in the middle of all of that I really I closed myself off. I really got myself into a protective covering and have been in that for a long time. Unexpectedly, that has opened. It feels like the windows opened in my area, and there's air blowing in. I can see the sunshine outside. There's something happening. Not that I was unhappy before, but this is absolutely incredibly magical. It absolutely is, and that's what's happening. Connected to something. So yeah, so I'm glowing. We have to pay attention. We absolutely do. We have to be quiet and be aware. We absolutely do. Yes, I think maybe that's part of it, Ange. Thank you, Luz. Kismet. Yes, I love that word. The glow of the lights. Yeah, I'm not glowing from moisturizer, although I did, I showered late today, mid-afternoon. So maybe it's because the Revitalift is really working its magic right now. It's lifting. It's lifting it up. Can you believe this weather? I know it's terrible because it was so cold and now it's warm and now everything's got condensation on it. The concrete, the inside of the garage is all wet from it. The doors are dripping with water. It's crazy. Thanks, Mad Housewife. Yeah, my Revitalift is really working, isn't it? And I told you guys in the last live that I think that TikTok puts a little butter in it, honestly. Because if you go look at those YouTube videos that Ballard did, that I'm in, you'll see it looks very different than this. So I think that I think I'm being buttered. It's making it look better than it is. But 34 is balmy in Wisconsin this time of year. Yeah, at 80 degrees, you should put the air on. It's crazy, though, to turn the air conditioner back on after we were just nearly frozen. Yeah, it's super warm and balmy today. And with deluge of rain coming down, I was afraid it would flood us out for this live. So, Ebby, you're in Washington. Yeah, I forget. Are you in Eastern or Western Washington, Ebby? Yeah, I think TikTok has a filter built in all the time. Even if you don't use Bold Glamour or something like that, I think it does something to smooth you out. You're in Western, yeah. Yeah, I went to school in Idaho for a while. So, yeah, I love the city. I'm sorry, I'm having a brain cramp. It's the city out west, the one that's on the Idaho border. It's beautiful. I'm having a brain cramp. Oh, you do in Kansas City. Yeah, it's probably still cold there. North Florida. Berkeley's beautiful. Central Illinois. I love you guys calling it out. Garrett, you're in Nampa? Holy moly. Well, back in my Mormon days, I went to school in Rexburg. My calendar will be out. Jeff, you just go for it. Yeah, I'm not surprised in Florida. Oh, they did? They found a bunch of them in Athens? Yeah, maybe so. Yeah, my vintage collecting, my ornament collecting has stopped. 2023 was the end of it. I cannot collect any more ornaments. I gotta start getting rid of ornaments. I have too many. Chipper would buy a calendar. Do you know what he's talking about, Chipper? He's talking about me being in a calendar. That's what he's teasing about, that I'm going to create a calendar. You buy a calendar of me in it, woman. I guess that's nice. I mean, what could I be doing in my calendar? You guys can give me ideas. That's what you guys can do. Come up with what I'll do for each month. Yes, 3 minutes to 75,000. Yeah, let's do that. Let's do the 75,000 because we're right down to it. Yeah, because the live is officially over around 9 o'clock because somebody in this house will flip the breaker and all this is going to go dark. And the filter will turn off and then, I'll look like Quasimodo. So, okay, so if you guys want a calendar, it's up to you guys to decide what poses will be in each month. And it's going to have to be offline because you cannot put it here on TikTok. I'll get age restricted if you guys get too creative. Yeah, December I'll be decorating a tree. Okay. Yeah, last call. It's last call. Get 75,000. Let's do it. All the way. We're 73.3. Let's see if we can make it happen. I could do that. I could. But Jeff was talking about me being in the calendar. See, that's what he's teasing me about. No, everybody's mind on here is clean. Yeah, I'll do some gardening pictures. Yeah, that's what we'll do. See, Jeff, you just can't win in this group. They're not going along with you. 74.9, we're almost there. 74.9. 75, we did it. We absolutely did it. So we made it for 2 hours. So the next live, like I told you, there may be a pop-up live in the next couple of days. And the next one on Tuesday or Thursday. Haven't decided if we're going to work on this. It depends on if the calendar, it depends on if the chandelier gets here, and we'll be working on it. So I will be letting you guys know what's happening. I'll do one of those announcement videos beforehand, so we'll kind of know what our topic is. But yeah, Mary Therese, thank you for helping out. Lori, thank you too for helping out. Everybody who's doing the tapping tonight too. So it's been wonderful. And guys, I hate to cut you off because I know we could just chat all night, but it's been awesome. Really appreciate you guys. Seriously. Okay? I'll see you soon. Bye.